Don from the Bronx. Let's talk about Marcus Allen, FBI and a former FBI agent. I think you might have seen the testimony yesterday. The guy was a whistleblower, and again, being proven correct about J6 and about the UCAs, which undercover assets. Said in the committee, said to Chairman Jordan and to Thomas Massey, you know what got me through this hell that the FBI put me through? The sacraments. And then he said the thing that I thought was the most magnificent, and my friend Ross McKnight said the same thing when they went after him, the canceled farmer. I am so thankful that I was able to endure this for my Lord, and that he gave me the opportunity to get close to my family and to go to the sacraments for peace, which is what Ross said. You know, I was chosen, and we're grateful for the persecution. Only Catholic men, toxic, masculine Catholic men, can and will make a claim like that. And everyone heard it. It was the most beautiful thing I've heard in years.
Tremendous witness, and that's, his story has been followed, nationwide. So a tremendous witness to the strength of his Catholic faith. And, we need a lot more men like that.
By the way,
there's a lot of men. There's a lot of Catholic men in the FBI who have to look themselves in the mirror for what they do on a daily basis.
And I think that it requires, and we obviously are going to continue doing this, and when this election season is over, we'll do it even more heavily here. But welcoming 77 chatters in the chat room today, Don. Big turnout.
Great.
Yeah. And saying hello to our old buddy Todd McClure, the shuffleboard apostle, in the chat room. Good to see you, brother. But Don, I think it requires me. It requires you. It requires Mike Parrott. It requires KV Turley. It requires men that have microphones in positions that people listen to, regardless of the size of your audience. It requires us to get out there, talk about the Marcus Allens, but not only that, try and be Marcus Allen. Try and be Mark Houck, who protected his son from a radical nutbag abortion rights wacko on the mean streets of Philadelphia. I think we have a duty to. If more men take up this. It literally is a crusade, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we're all suffering a white martyrdom now.
Right.
It's as I've heard others say, it's really easy to go die on the battlefield for your faith. But it's a lot harder, I believe, to endure, and others have said the same thing, to endure what we're experiencing right now, because there's nothing glorious about it. It's just the day-to-day grind of having to do the right thing in a very, very difficult culture, having to raise your children, having to be a good husband, a provider, having to, endure all of the different things that are coming at us on a daily basis. That's really, really difficult. And I think even this generation of fathers, meaning that are raising children right now, are experiencing something that their parents and their grandparents did not have to experience. You're living through a period of time where you can't trust any single institutions, or at least be naive enough to know that you can't trust any of the institutions. And in many cases, you can't even go to the church for solace because you know that you're being persecuted from inside the church, especially if you're a traditional Catholic, or if you're a Protestant that takes certain things seriously, like men being men and women being women, and you're an Anglican, or you're a Baptist, you're having to see that's under question. So it's a very, very difficult time to be a father and a husband right now, and I think a lot of men need to be commended for what they're at least trying to do. And I think that's going to be the key. The key here for the next 20 to 30 years is how men respond right now.
Well, you think about the rugged individualism, right? You have examples, and this is a 19th century creed among American men before the War of Northern Aggression. You have examples that still stand out in history. How many of you guys out there have a Bowie knife? Well, of course, there was a Jim Bowie. We all know that Fess Parker played Daniel Boone on a television series. Daniel Boone was a man. He was a big man. There were actually rugged individualists. It wasn't just a creed. It wasn't just a slogan. There actually were men that were rugged individuals. I think this is why the story of the Alamo still resonates to this day. Those guys knew they were going to die. When Colonel Travis drew the line in the sand and said, "Man, you can either jump across or you can go home," one of the two.
Absolutely.
And not a man moved. I think it's one of the greatest stories in American history ever told.
Absolutely. But I even think I would say, the father that works every day for 40 years, bring home a paycheck, is loyal and faithful to his family and to his wife. To me, that's even more heroic than what we saw at the Alamo. I think the Alamo is obviously a fantastic story, but it's those stories of fathers just doing the everyday grind that is the
And I would just add to that. I don't know how many of you remember back in the day, but he used to call the program every now and then, and I'd meet him when I'd go to New York at the Sirius XM HQ. Marty the Cop. Remember Marty the Cop, Martin Brown? What did Marty the Cop say? Mike, I'm a work, church, home guy. Work, church, home guy. That is what you're looking for. The work, church, home